How's it sounding? Come on, guys, help me out. Welcome, everyone. Please let me know if you hear me. More volume ain't gonna happen. That's all you got. I mean, it ain't gonna happen. Come on, I'm maxed out over here. As long as you hear me, all right. All right. What the hell, man? All right. How about now? Check, 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 check. Is it always a problem or not? Come on. All right. Let me know if it's perfect or not. It got to be perfect. Let's see. All right. Let me know if it's perfect. There we go. I'm hearing it. You guys make me do it every time. Okay. Welcome in, everybody. Let's see who we have here. Let's see who we have. All right, sweet dude Shibby, welcome in. Sweet dude Dirt. What up? All right, what's up, guys? It's nice. Now, who else we got? Four Pits, welcome in, Four Pits. Good to see you. Four Pits, contempt. It's all contempt. Good. All right, J Rabbit, welcome in. Welcome in, J Rabbit. Sweet dude Shibby and Four Pits. Amy, welcome in with the flowers. God bless you. Good to see you. Thank you for the flowers. Appreciate that. And Caroline's Catastrophe, welcome in. Yes, we hope everyone had a blessed Easter. We really do. God bless you all. Good to see everyone. Lauren L., welcome in. Good to see you back. Good to see you. Rebecca Ann. What's up, Rebecca Ann? 1965. Are you giving it all away, Rebecca Ann? 1965. Welcome in. Daisy Dukes, Daisy Dukes, Daisy Dukes, roller skates, roller skates, roller skates. Bonnie, welcome in. Hello, Prof. Hope you and little guy had a good Easter. We did. He got a bunny. He got a bunny. Maybe I'll show you the bunny, but I'm not showing you the little guy because of the freaks who stalk and harass. But welcome in, guys. Bonnie, Amy. All right, Brittany. Look at Brittany here. What's up, Brittany? I did not participate in any antics. My day was way too busy for that. Way too busy, unfortunately. All right, Lee Cordell. Welcome in, Lee Cordell. Good to see you. Good to see you back. Hope you're feeling better, Lee. All right, Ronnie Reed. What up? The lovely Ronnie Reed. Welcome in. All right. Am I boring? Yeah. Well, Brittany, I heard you have Bigfoot hair on your feet. Is this true? Ooh. All right. Nobody played me the fool either. Hey, yo, K West. What up, K West? Welcome in. Welcome in. All right. Welcome in, North Star. Northern Star. Sweet dude. I think her name was Ellie. All right. Okay. Everyone else who's just okay. I have to document this troll. Hold on. Okay, good job. Documented. Now blocked. Okay, welcome in everyone. Welcome in everyone. Okay. I think everyone is here. Curtis Hinkle. And I was going to say, everyone who's just lurking in the lurker crew, come on, join the fun. Jump in the chat and say hello to everyone, at least. Say hello to everyone. I'm sure everyone would appreciate back and forth speaking with you. So jump in the chat and say hello to everyone. Hello, Prof in chat, says Cindy. Welcome in, Cindy. I hope you are feeling good too. Welcome on in. All right. Look here, it's Mr. Scott. My unwavering gratitude, support, love, and respect to you for jumping in and offering Crime Night support, sir. 10,000 kudos. Huge thank you. So classy, so effing beautiful, brings tears to my eyes. Thank you very much, Mr. Scott. Everyone needs to hear kind words. Digital, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, Digital. Oh, were you guys April fooling me with the sound? Is that what that was? Now I get it. All right. Nancy Drew 101, welcome in. Hello, Nancy. Okay. What in the hell is in my hair? Nothing, it's my hair. Is it let's see, to your right? To your right should be my left, right? It's just my hair is all wild. It was a windy day. Thank you very much for calling attention to that, Lee. All right. All right. Everyone's in here. So thank you so much. Oh, there's Noe. Welcome in, Noe. Welcome in, Noe. All right. I'm trying to catch up with the chat so we can get started here. Brittany, Shibby said, I pranked myself, watched 2 minutes of spoof regurgitation. I'm a real fool. Show us the wabbit. All right. Clumsy Clairvoyance, hey, welcome in. God bless you. Yay, you caught alive. Welcome back in. I've seen you before. Thanks for coming back in. And thanks for jumping in from that lurker crew. Everyone lurking, jumping on in. Michelle, welcome in. Lurking as always, I think a few hours ahead of you. All right. Well, good. I'm glad we can get started. Oh, it was really low. Good. Well, we fixed it somehow. All right, Lamberco. All right, so everyone, we made it in. Look, we're going to get started quickly because there's so much to go through. I don't want to be here 4 hours tonight. I really don't. So, you little bastard, Lee Cordell. Your hand is and was in your hair after our April Fujima, man. You got me. You wascally wabbit. Yeah, you got me. All right. All right. K West. What are you telling K West? I love when someone says, hey, it's okay, we make mistakes, and sometimes in these YouTube streets, it's tough when we're taking a stand against the trash in there, in the hood. Yeah. All right. Got my popcorn out for the symbolism. Well, you better. You better. We got a really serious show. That's why I want to get into it. Enough of the small talk. Give me a moment to pull up our... I'm just all unprepared at the moment. Let's see. Okay. Give me a moment to pull this up and get started. And you guys chill out in the chat. Hold on to your seats. We have a long show. We have a lot of information. I hope you enjoy it. And we have a special guest coming, by the way. A really lovely and informative guest. She'll be joining us for the commentary once we get knee deep into the stuff. So awesome. Let's get into the business now. So give me one moment. Okay, welcome in, guys. This here, I just want to get started for anyone who is totally unfamiliar and new to the case. I think it's important that we start off on the right foot here, and I want to thank our guest for putting this together. And let's just take a look at it really quickly before we dive on in. For anyone unfamiliar with this case, Abby and Libby were two teenage 8th grade girls from Delphi, Indiana. On 13 February 2017, they went for a walk on a public trail, allegedly, and were found murdered the next day, not far from their last known location. This presentation is not meant to sensationalize the murders of Abby or Libby, and it's not meant to stoke unrealistic fears or point fingers at whole groups of people. It's my intent to help expose more information regarding this case, knowing well that the chasm is already without end. But it doesn't mean nothing can be done. Something can be done, and this is our small contribution. While examining occult symbolism matters, okay? One, former Carroll County prosecutor Robert Ives remarked that multiple signatures existed, at least 3, which appeared to be non-secular in nature. 2, the Franks Memorandum written by Richard Allen, or his defense team, cited an official law enforcement investigative report concerning the actions of individuals in nearby communities and in Delphi, Indiana, and they were known practitioners of Asatru. And this is the report referred to as the Odinist Report by Todd Click. The FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit determined that the individuals responsible for the homicides had ties or knowledge of and to Nordic beliefs. And you'll be seeing why in a moment. Comments made by Purdue professor Jeffrey Turco, with the backing of Harvard University colleague, both strongly believed that the crime scene was without a doubt someone trying to replicate Germanic runic script, or as we say, runes. Okay. The following images and descriptions are upsetting due to the nature and the nature of pertaining to the murders of Abby and Libby. So just be prepared. If anyone here is squeamish, if anyone here is disturbed by diving into the elements of a crime scene, I suggest that you just tune on out at this point, because from here on out, we're going to get really serious, and we're going to be looking at things that are not that pleasant to look at. So those of you who may have some aversion to that, please just take a little break, and we will see you another time. Okay. And here we have Abby and Libby. Okay. Thought I had muted this phone. I'm sorry that it's sorry that it's going off. Okay. Now, here we go. Let's see. Here, what you're looking at, this is a very rough generalization of the crime scene, okay? Now, I'd like you to take note that there are no leaves on the ground here, you know, so this is sort of stripped of all context. So you don't see any leaves on the ground or any trees. The purpose of this here is to show you the relation of the bodies to each other, as well as the positioning of the bodies, as well as the deliberate stick formations placed onto the bodies, okay? So that's what you're seeing here. The point in it is to relay to you in the most gentle terms how this scene appeared when you walked onto it. Okay. And I would like you to note that basically what you're looking at is staging of the bodies, or what I would call positioning, deliberate positioning of the bodies. So the bodies are posed in particular ways, and we will be getting into that. And secondly, you're looking at stick figurations placed onto the bodies as a second level of signature. So we will be getting into that, but this is just your general. This is your general thing to kind of start yourself off and put into your mind as we move on into some reading, because what we're going to do now is get a written description of this crime scene before we go any further. Okay. So from the Frank's memorandum, we were provided a really good description of the crime scene, which is helpful for those who had not received the crime scene photos in the course of this leak um, that began at the time this Frank memorandum dropped, and has continued to this day. So let's take a read now. We're going to read some pertinent pages from the Frank's memorandum, and we're going to start with this one, which is the beginning of the description of the crime scene. Okay. The scene was ghoulish. Libby was found at the base of a tree with 4 branches of varying sizes intentionally placed in a very specific and arranged pattern on her naked body. Libby was positioned flat on her back, with her left arm stretched above her head, touching the base of the large tree. Libby's right hand was covered in blood. Libby's left hand was covered in blood. Blood spots and blood drippings were seen all over Libby's body from head to toe. So I'd like to remind you guys that what you're all missing, okay, if we go back, let's go back momentarily. If we go back to this scene here, what you're missing is that Libby's hand is touching near the base of a tree. Um, so both her hands are very bloody, and her left hand here is stretched upright, and it is held in that position with a very large fallen tree, okay, that has been placed on top of her left arm, and that is holding her arm in the upward position such that it touches near the base of a tree that is standing. Okay. Moving on. Abby was not found at the base of a tree. Abby was fully clothed. In fact, Abby was dressed allegedly in Libby's sweatshirt and jeans. No blood appeared on Abby's clothing, meaning that she was likely murdered while naked and then dressed by murderers after she expired and after blood had stopped spilling from her neck. Abby's hands were clean, no blood. Abby's feet were clean, no blood. Other than blood found all around Abby's neck area where the murderers had inflicted a fatal wound, very little, if any, blood was found anywhere else on Abby's body or clothing. The juxtaposition of the spots and streaks of blood found all over Libby's body with the lack of blood on Abby's body, undergarments, overgarments, is stark. And it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very stark difference when you see these girls where one, Abby, is perfectly clean for the most part and clothed, and Libby, totally nude and very bloody. I'm sorry, just thinking about it, I lost my Lost my spot here. The murderers appeared to have gone to great lengths to keep Abby's body and clothing clean from blood. Abby was found on her back like Libby. However, unlike Libby, Abby's elbows were bent with her right arm and left arms both placed on her chest. Abby's left hand and arm near the left side of her face, and right hand and arm near the right side of her face. Also, Abby's left leg was straight, while her right leg was bent at the knee. The murderers also placed her bent right leg under her left leg. Like Libby, those involved in the murder had placed tree branches in a very specific pattern on top of Abby. The pattern looks very similar to an asterisk consisting of 3 branches, all joined in the middle. At least one of the tree branches appears to have been cleanly cut by some instrument, like an electric saw, rather than split or broken by hand. Okay. I don't agree with this part, which says indicating that this was a preconceived plan. It doesn't necessarily mean that. There could have been a sawed-off branch in the vicinity as someone was searching for sticks. We don't know whether or not that was brought to the scene or placed yet, but we'll be getting into that. Above Abby's head were smaller sticks that had been placed over her hair, crudely mimicking horns or antlers. And I want to say about that, these sticks or twigs are so tiny, they could almost be mistaken for stems of grass or the tiniest twigs that could have blown on over. So the little twigs or sticks that are on her hair are nowhere like the sticks that are on both girls' bodies. Okay, for all of you who want to know, those sticks are completely different and extremely small that are placed on her hair. But it is evident and clear that they are placed on her hair because those tiny little sticks are over her hair. Okay, so when you would consider the leaf litter around and that there are little twigs of a similar nature in that area, you almost might mistake it for a twig just laying there. But upon closer inspection, it's very evident that these little tiny twigs were placed deliberately on top of the hair. And we have Elvis Fields talking about doing that, okay? So we will be getting into that later, okay? Above Abby's head, oh, we got that, okay. The amount of blood that would be perhaps expected at the crime scene based upon the location of the injuries of both girls was not visible in the crime scene photos. Yes. The defense has provided the court with 12 crime scene and autopsy photographs marked as exhibits 5 to 16 as confidential. These photographs support the descriptions provided in the previous paragraphs. In addition to the unusual way the girls were posed, including the stick formations placed on their bodies, another unusual marking was found on a nearby tree. Okay? A symbol that looked similar to a letter F appeared approximately 4 feet above the base of the tree. This F was red in color, and later DNA testing showed that the F had been painted on the tree using Libby's blood as the so-called paint. Additional blood spatter was found at the base of the same tree. Okay, so let's pause there. Upon this tree, at about the 4-foot level mark, there is what looks like a letter F painted in Libby's blood. At the base of the very same tree, there's blood. All the blood at the base of the tree appears to have been Libby's blood as well. The defense also has provided the court with Exhibit 17, which is DNA documentation supporting the fact that Libby's blood was the source of the F painted on the tree. Said exhibit is marked as confidential. Okay. The defense has also provided 2 photos of this F found on the nearby tree, hereinafter called the F tree, Exhibits 18 and 19, marked as confidential. Defense is also providing a photo of the F tree from a wider angle for the court to have perspective as to where the F tree is located relative to the bodies. That confidential photo has been marked as Exhibit 20. The stick configuration is a spot-on resemblance to a rune called Hagal. The rune is used to depict the word hail. Therefore, the combination of the Hagal rune found on Abby and the Ansu's rune found on the tree, when combined, would proclaim Hail Odin. However, my opinion here is that this is not necessarily what we're looking at. Okay, this is a possibility. So what we're going to be discussing today are possibilities. Okay, so this point that the defense is bringing up here with the statement is one possibility, that the F marked on the tree is an Anzus, okay, which I don't necessarily agree with, nor do I disagree with, but we'll be looking at that later. We're going to get way into it, so just hold on here, okay? The defense team speculates that because of the lack of blood visible in the crime scene photos, especially concerning Abby, that the murderers may have saved the blood to be used in future rituals. Right, and I believe they may have consumed some of the blood, okay? But these are all possibilities, okay? We just know it's clear that there seems to be a lack of blood. The F resembles a rune called Ansus, which stands for Odin. Again, when paired with the Hagal rune found on Abby, the combination would proclaim Hail Odin. This F symbol was the same F symbol found on many of Brad Holder's Facebook pages, which will be attached, including Holder's creepy self-drawn illustration in which a red F rune was at the base of a tree where a man appeared to be sacrificed on the tree. Again, speculation, possibilities, but we'll be getting into that, okay? Let's move on. The defense has also provided 2 photos of this F found on the nearby tree, hereinafter called the F tree. Okay, well, we read that. Under Abby's left lower back, a shoe was found. Okay. So let's pay attention to that. Under Abby's left lower back, under her back, a shoe was found. This shoe is believed to be Libby's shoe. Under the shoe, a cell phone was found. Okay, so under Abby, we have a shoe, and under the shoe, a cell phone. The cell phone was later determined to be Libby's phone. This information was confirmed by the most recent deposition testimony of Tony Liggett, Leatherby, and Holman. According to recent depositions taken of Sheriff Liggett, the famous video of the person that many call Bridge Guy was found on this phone. Additionally, allegedly found between the 2 girls, buried underneath the leaves and dirt, was a single bullet. Allegedly. But let's keep in mind, this bullet was not found when the girls were found. The defense has provided 2 photos of the shoe and cell phone under Abby's legs and marked them as Exhibits 21 and 22 and have been filed confidentially. Also, the defense has provided 3 photos of a bullet reportedly found between Abby and Libby and marked as Exhibits 23, 24, and 25. It should be noted that as the date of this memo, the defense has no photographs of the bullet allegedly found between the girls after it was removed from the ground. No photo or video, for example, shows the bullet as it is being pulled out of the ground. No photo or video of the bullet immediately after pulled from the ground. No video or photograph of all sides of the bullet immediately after it's pulled from the ground. No photographs of the bullet next to a measuring device showing its length. No photos to show what the bullet looked like once it was pulled out of the ground. That could provide proof that it is the same bullet that ended up in evidence. Okay. At his August 8, 2023 deposition, Sheriff Liggett was adamant that one person, and one person alone, Richard Allen, was involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. However, off record, Liggett doesn't believe that one man was capable of pulling off all these tasks, especially in such a short period of time, leaving behind a crime scene with no forensic evidence. As referenced to earlier, Liggett says one thing publicly under oath, but a different thing off record to his buddies. One of those buddies is former sheriff and now Chief Deputy Sheriff Tobe Leazenby. The day after Liggett's August 8, 2023 deposition, Tobe Leazenby was subject to deposition. When Tobe Leazenby was asked at his deposition how many people he believed were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby, Leazenby provided a different answer than Liggett. He indicated that at least 2 people were involved. When Tobe Leazenby was asked at his deposition how many people he believed were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby, Leazenby provided a different answer than Liggett. He indicated that at least 2 people were involved. The reasons Leazenby gave as to his belief that at least 2 people were involved in the murders was Leazenby's belief that it would be difficult for one individual to accomplish what occurred. When asked if any other law enforcement officers shared this perspective, Leazenby provided a surprising answer based upon what Liggett had testified to under oath the day before. Yes, at least one other law enforcement officer believed multiple people were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. Tony Liggett. According to Leazenby's sworn statement, it was common for he and Tony Liggett to have one-on-one conversations, and that Tony Liggett definitely believed that more than one person was involved. Should I read that for you again? At least one other law enforcement officer believed multiple people were involved in the murder of Abby and Libby. Tony Liggett. According to Leazenby's sworn statement, it was common for he and Tony Liggett to have one-on-one conversations, and that Tony Liggett definitely believed that more than one person was involved. So we have Tobe Leazenby and Tony Liggett both agreeing that more than one person was involved. But under deposition, Tony Liggett says just one, Richard Allen, and Tobe Leazenby says at least 2. Please remember who these guys are. Tony Liggett, who just the day before under oath claimed that only one person, Richard Allen, was involved in the murders, privately behind the scenes was saying something altogether different in one-on-one conversations with Tobe Leazenby and his law enforcement friends. If a cult consisting of more than one person in a coordinated fashion lured the girls to the bridge, abducted the girls, and then collectively were able to perform all the tasks mentioned in the previous paragraphs of this Frank's memorandum, that perspective would cut against Liggett's sworn claim that the murderer acted alone. Conversely, even more problematic for Liggett is that stating under oath what he actually believes, that more than one person was involved in the murders of Abby and Libby, would then lend credence to the fact that the accumulation of evidence gathered by Murphy, Ferenczi, and Click which we referred to earlier as the Odinist Report, strongly supports that on February 13, 2017, several men from what appears to be something like a pagan religious cult were involved. For some reason, Liggett is obviously not interested in wanting anyone, including Judge Diener, to know that the evidence strongly supports an organized pagan cult as being the killers. Therefore, sadly, it's not surprising that Liggett lied under oath when he claimed in his deposition that only one man acting alone murdered those girls. If Liggett had told Judge Diener that he believed that multiple people were involved in the crime, and if Liggett also provided Judge Diener with the massive amount of missing details of the Odinite involvement in the murders, meaning Todd Click's Odinist Report, including evidence of the Odinites' intimate knowledge of the crime scene, and by that we particularly mean Elvis Fields, then there is no way that Diener would have or should have signed the search warrant. In addition to the white supremacy component that exists within Odinism, there seems to be an additional dark demonic component to Odinism. At least if the articles concerning Odinist human sacrifice and imagery found on the internet, coupled with imagery and language found on Brad Holder's Facebook page, are to be considered. Now, listen to that again. In addition to the white supremacy component that exists within Odinism in general, there appears to be an additional, darker, demonic component to this Odinism-like belief. Okay? Kevin Murphy, who was a state trooper that investigated the Odinist angle, said this about Odinism. It seemed to me to border on almost a satanic type of worshiping, sacrificing, but I couldn't really wrap my brain around it. Okay, this is Kevin Murphy. It seemed to be, or to border on almost a satanic type of worshiping, sacrificing, but I couldn't really wrap my brain around it. Well, you're going to see later why that is. Exhibit 30 is an image from a website on Odinism of a man hanging upside down from a tree who has been sliced in the neck with blood dripping to the ground. This man's arms are posed similarly to Abby's at the crime scene. This man's legs are also posed similarly to Abby's at the crime scene. His left leg is straight and his right leg is bent at the knee. The only difference is that the man's right leg is placed over the left leg, while Abby's right leg was posed under the left leg. Okay, now we'll move on. Elvis Fields described forming horns out of sticks and placing them on Abby's head, and crime scene photos confirm Elvis's statement. Perhaps the most damaging piece of evidence that links Elvis to the crime scene was found in an unusual place, in the middle of a report that memorialized the results of Mary Jacobs' polygraph examination. In Mary's pre-examination interview, polygraph examiner Stephanie Thompson, who is now dead, recorded that Mary Jacobs stated the following: Elvis told her that Abigail is a little troublemaker and that he placed leaves on her and used sticks to give her horns. Once again, Abby is a little troublemaker, and he placed leaves on her and used sticks to give her horns. Horns and antlers are common symbols used in pagan rituals, and Brad Holder himself displayed the Odinite fascination with horns on his Facebook page. Okay. Find attached Exhibit 97 from Brad Holder's Facebook page. As you can see, the middle photograph is an image of a person with small stick-like antlers on the top of their head. Find attached a close-up of a photo of Abby's head from the crime scene. From a distance, it is not immediately noticeable. However, upon close examination, it's obvious that someone involved in the killings intentionally placed tiny, small sticks from a tree, where else are sticks going to come from, right on top of her hair to resemble horns or antlers. They're tiny little sticks. The horns formed from sticks on Abby's head look similar to the image found on Holder's Facebook page, Exhibit 97. Okay. Now, let me pause for a minute and give an aside. If you study into the occult, meanings and history of a woman or female with sticks or horns or antlers, or what I call the horned woman, it basically distills down to the essence of troublemaker. Okay, so it's interesting here that that he calls her a troublemaker, because it distills down to troublemaker or wild woman. So if you were to search into horned woman or woman with horns or wild woman or troublemaker woman, and that sort of occult ideation, it's perfectly in line with what Elvis Fields was criticizing here, which leads me to believe he heard it from someone else. These are not Elvis's own thoughts and words. Okay, these are someone else's words that Elvis is merely repeating, because we know this is what he does. He's a copycat. He repeats. Okay, he emulates things that people he respects do and say. So I believe the horns of the tiny little sticks placed on her head were indicative of troublemaker or wild woman, something that someone else nearby Elvis had probably said about this victim. Okay. Where are we here? Where are we? Next page. The horns formed from sticks on Abby's head look similar to the image found on Holder's Facebook page. The defense has not viewed one single report that discusses the sticks placed atop Abby's hair, shaped like horns or antlers, being compared with Elvis's statement to his sister that he shaped sticks into horns on Abby. Therefore, the presumption is that the Unified Command never figured this out. Therefore, Trooper Purdy was present at the polygraph examination, but was not able to watch the examination, and therefore would not know about Elvis's words to his sister Mary about using sticks to form horns on Abby. Rather than now being curious in the year 2023, 2024, as to how Elvis knew such a thing, and then using this new information as a basis to secure a search warrant or even an arrest warrant on Elvis, when factoring in all the other evidence, sadly, it's expected that law enforcement will do the exact opposite of being curious. It is expected that law enforcement will claim that the photograph does not prove anything, or that the defense is exaggerating the photograph. Perhaps Unified Command will huddle together and establish the go-to party line stance on how to deal with the problems created with polygraph examination information and the photo of sticks formed as horns on Abby's head in the crime scene photos. It would be refreshing if someone in Unified Command could stop worrying about how the public will view their incompetence, admit to mistakes, and then perform the type of police work that should have been performed 6 years ago. I mean, that's a bomb dropped. That's a bomb drop, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, this very same Stephanie Thompson died under suspicious circumstances when her house was torched. Okay, we're nearly done with this section. Please, thank you for your patience. Odinism, Odinites, and runes. Odinism is the pagan religion referenced above, and its followers are called Odinites. Odinites are enamored of Viking Nordic culture. Evidence supports that at the crime scene, these murdering Odinites left behind obvious signatures, symbols in the form of runes. These runes were 1. Formed with sticks, 2. Fashioned with tree branches, and 3. Painted using blood of Liberty German. Sticks and tree branches were deliberately, carefully, and proficiently placed on each girl in a certain arrangement mimicking certain runes. Listen to that statement again because we will prove it to you momentarily. Sticks and tree branches were deliberately, carefully, and proficiently placed on each girl in a certain arrangement mimicking runes. At least one of the branches appear to have had its end cut off cleanly by some type of tool like an electric saw. Okay. Additionally, the blood of Liberty German was used to paint a With the simple Google search, these runes would be identifiable as one of the many calling cards of this pagan religious cult. Yet law enforcement in charge of the Delphi investigation seemingly and quickly abandoned the obvious correlation between the crime scene and Odinism. Despite an obscene amount of evidence linking Odinism to the crime scene, and even in spite of powerful evidence linking specific Odinites in and around Indiana to the murders. And by that, we specifically mean Patrick Westphal, Elvis Fields, Brad Holder. We'll get into that. Okay. One moment, please. Okay. Now, here's where we start to get into serious business, okay? We're going to get into serious business here. So I really need you now to pay attention. I know all of this was a review for most of you, but now we're going to get into serious business. We're going to be discussing two separate subject areas here, okay? Two very distinct subject areas. And this is my theory. It's not anyone else's. I don't expect you to believe it. I just ask you to take it in, let it sit with you, and see how you feel about it tomorrow or next week or next month, okay? But here's where we're going, okay? You'll notice in these photographs or in these illustrations here, as I referenced before, you have positioning of the bodies, okay, deliberate positioning of the bodies, and you have deliberate positioning of sticks, okay? So what we're going to be getting into now, I'm going to be showing you my thoughts here on both of these aspects, okay? Because I think we're looking at two separate levels of signature or staging. I think we're looking at body positioning or the intentional placement of the body into certain poses, and then a second level, I think a secondary thing we're looking at is the intentional placement of sticks on the bodies as a separate but equal component. Okay, so let's read a little here. I'm calling the sticks placed deliberately on each girl their stick rune, okay, which will be outlined in red. The intentional way the perpetrators position the girls, I'm calling the inverse tarot configuration. Okay. Now, some of this work is borrowed from our guest who will be joining us shortly, in Light in the Dark. Um, so we're going to discuss together much of this. Okay, but what I'm going to what I want to get into is what I mean by inverse tarot configuration, and I will be showing you that. Okay, I will be showing you that. I'm very aware of the insensitivity of attributing the willful actions done to them as being theirs. I do this only for the sake of clarity. It shouldn't have to be stated that what was done to Abby and Libby was not their choice. Therefore, I apologize for attributing the runes to them, but we're calling them their stick runes, okay? Abby's stick rune, Libby's stick rune. The method for finding the stick rune for each girl involved comparing the uniformity of sticks and factoring in the shapes and the arrangement of the sticks, okay? For Abby, there are 2 uniform sticks, one laid over the left side, pinning her down. Well, I wouldn't say pinning her down, but this one that's going down her leg, okay? It's very much going down her leg. It's the vertical. And then there are the horizontal and the cross or shorter third stick that bisects at the meeting point of the vertical and horizontal, okay? And interestingly enough, this is the stick that has the clean cut, okay? Accounting for this point of concurrency where the sticks all meet on here on Abby, we need a rune with at least 3 intersecting lines, all right? So here's where it's going to get difficult because we're going to have to look at a bunch of runes because of the complexity with the possibilities here. But for now, we'll skip and look at Libby, okay? For Libby, of the 3 uniform sticks, 2 are positioned parallel to her left and right as vertical sticks, okay? And what appears to be a third stick is actually part, it's almost hard to tell, to be honest with you, but it appears to be part of one stick. It's a very distinct looking stick. Now, Enlighten in the Dark tried to find this rune through a process of elimination. The first step was finding a rune which had 2 parallel vertical lines, and in the Elder Futark, there was several here, and then she tried to find a horizontal line that ran perpendicular to the 2 verticals, and so she's included here a bunch of them, okay? Now, as we go, we'll be looking specifically at all of these runes and comparing, and I'll be showing you some things that is really going to explain a lot to you. But spoiler alert here. Spoiler alert. I think that what we're looking at is basically distills down to very simple that on Abby, we're definitely looking at the Hagal, okay? Very definitely. We'll be seeing why, because we'll be getting into it. And on Libby, it's very much more complex because the way I interpret it is that on Libby, we're looking at Hagalas as well as possibly the seagull or soul rune, okay, which is like the backwards N almost. But we'll be getting in further down the road into the runes. So that's just a really quick spoiler and an introduction into it. But first, what I want to do is get into the body positioning. Okay, so before we leave this slide, please go ahead and look at the body positioning once more. It's very important that you look at this before we go into the next. Okay, you look very closely. I'd like to draw your attention to Abby now. Okay, take a close look at Abby. Notice that Abby's arms are up and bound in a way. And Abby's leg, her right leg is under her left leg, crossed, approximately behind the knee. Okay? Well, let's move on to the next. Okay. Now you see here, what I did here is I took the hangman and I placed the hangman into what I'm calling the inverse tarot figure configuration. Okay? So we're looking at what I am believing, okay, what I am putting forward as Abby's positioning here. Okay, I believe that Abby's positioning is specifically this position here, the inverse hangman. Okay. Why don't I let you go back to Abby? Okay, go back to Abby again. One more time. Okay. Now let us look at the next. I'd like you to look at Libby before we go on. Okay, look at Libby. Once again, this is an inverse tarot configuration. Look at this one. Okay, this is the magician. Notice that the magician is holding something in his raised hand, okay? One hand points upwards, one pointing downwards, okay? We'll be discussing more of that later, but this is an as above, so below, okay? And remember, in the raised hand, there is a tree, a stick, a rod, or a wand, depending on how you look at it occult-wise, okay? Now, again, look, and if you look up into the upper right-hand corner, I have illustrated a red circle and labeled it tree, because this is where the tree is that Libby is reaching towards in the position she is posed into. Okay? So there's a tree where I have marked a red circle that says tree. I'd like you to really understand that there's a tree there. There is a standing tree. So her hand was initially, it is assumed, when she was placed into this position, her hand was touching or grasping the tree. Okay? So look back at this and look at this. Okay? Look at Libby. Look at the position of this inverse tarot configuration. Okay, can you see now? All right, let's move along. Again, I apologize for drawing attention to the bodies of these girls. It's not my intention to focus on their dead bodies, but I want us to understand how this was. We're more focusing on the actions of the perpetrators here. Okay, there we go. Now, again, I haven't invited the guest on yet because we're still just basically processing the crime scene. We haven't even gotten into the runes yet, but we're going to get into it. She's coming up shortly, but we're still just summarizing the crime scene here. So now let's look at Abby. Okay. So here we have the Hagal. Now I want to explain to you, because I think when you read the Frank's memorandum and you hear something like along the lines of Hail Odin, it doesn't really give the meaning that is actually associated with Hagal. Okay, so let's put that out of our mind. Let's put the Hail Odin out of our minds, and let's just focus on this particular rune right here. Okay, let's look at the stick figuration, and let's look at this. It says, Key concepts. Okay, so hailstone, okay, hailstone or hailstorm is what we're talking about here. Okay. Key concepts of crisis, cancellation, delay, damage to an investment, destructive elements of nature, storm, destruction, uh, restructuring, sudden change, trauma, unavoidable discomfort, uncontrollable forces. Okay, this sort of ideation. Okay, Hagal is a rune of disruption and delay when plans are hit by unforeseen difficulties. It's an omen of sudden change. Hail blights the land. It destroys crops for future sustenance. It waylays voyages, business dealings, and productive time wasted when you're trying to salvage damaged goods. You know, think about an extreme hailstorm. You know, what would that do to a normal day? The Hagal rune can be used for extremely negative magic with disastrous results, especially when used with Thorisaz. Okay. Now, let's pause there and keep going. Let's pause there. Now, this is our guest first putting forward of her initial thought about this particular configuration, and I believe it's a potential. So, like many, we're going to cover this one. So, keep in mind what we just spoke about in terms of extremely destructive blizzard-like, devastating hailstorm. Okay. Now let's check out this one, which is the Uruz. Okay. There are several aspects here which will be interesting, but one is instinct ox, okay, or strength, but also drizzle. Okay, so listen here. A challenge, a trial or contest, confrontation of adversity, trial by ordeal, facing adversity, initiation, the vital energy of life, the power which holds life together, purifying weakness into strength. Okay, this is magic, right? Tenacious willpower, striving towards personal goals, primitive but raw, indestructible, transcendent, a rite of passage or initiation of becoming. Okay, Oruz is the seed of the egg of Hagal or Hagalas. Uruz in the unconscious drive for manifestation. Okay, Uruz inspires persistence, durability, adaptability. So you guys are getting like strong as an ox, right? Strong as an ox, strength. It's like a capturing of power here, capturing of power. So we're going from what's the Hagal that we were looking at on Abby? Okay, more like everything's out of your control. You don't have power. Total victim of circumstance, right? You're looking at the energies around devastating strength coming at you destructively, you don't have anything to do with and no control over. Hailstorm, a really bad one, compared to something like the taking charge or the strength of an ox and the converting something into a force and converting some energy into or weakness or weak position into a strength. Okay, so let's keep on. We're just looking at pieces of a puzzle here. Now here you're looking at the F tree, and I've done some photo manipulation here to make it as clear as I possibly can, okay, with the various filters I could apply to try to bring out the marking on the tree to the best of my ability. Okay. Now, what I'd like you to notice about this particular configuration is it looks very much like an F, you know, if you would think about it. Okay, as we get into looking at the runes, which we're going to do now, as we get into looking into these runes, the first thing you're going to notice is that the runes do not look like a uppercase English F, okay? So what we're looking at actually looks like an American is thinking of a letter F in my mind, okay? It looks like an F. Shh. Okay. Now, just one moment, please. Now we're really quickly going to go through this. So you've heard before in the Frank's memo that they are pointing towards an Ansus, okay, and so that's a possibility, okay. But there's also the Fehu, okay, which I want to show you, okay, the Fehu, okay. Now, what are runes? Well, simply, runes are letters in an ancient alphabet that was used to write various Germanic languages. Germanic, okay? Each rune, although can be thought of as a letter, it's more accurately a sound, which carries meaning, and the deep, subtle nuances of these are what makes them interesting and difficult to explain, okay? The Fehu means wealth, cognate to the English fee with the original meaning of sheep or cattle. The rune derives from an unattested but reconstructed Proto-Germanic Fehu, okay, with the original meaning of money, cattle, or wealth. In the short, the simple version is that it signifies wealth and prosperity through the ownership of cattle. But the meaning is much deeper, okay? So why wealth and cattle? Well, because cattle were the sustenance for people. This is why cattle were often worshipped, okay? Now, the Fehu can symbolize motion and vitality, as pre-agriculture humans would have followed cattle and tended to them rather than owning them and farming them. But vitality comes from the nutrition they provide for us. It's said by students of runes that the energy of wealth must be in constant motion, as stagnation leads to the ugly side of wealth, which is hoard and possessiveness. Okay, we see this as a reminder to move forward. This can be interpreted in the modern day by using wealth to be more progressive, innovative, and regenerative, which resonates with us. And here's where we get into something extremely important here. Okay, something extremely important. The color red. Now remember that this F is painted in Libby's blood. It's red. It's in Libby's blood. Remember the Ansu's F is also painted in red by Brad Holder. Okay. The color most commonly associated with Fehu is light red. This is the traditional color for the runes, and so appropriate for the first rune of the Futhark. Red was almost universally the first color named across human cultures. It's also the color most easy to create with natural dyes. Here's the important point. Fehu represents life force itself, and for all those reasons, it is strongly associated with blood. Okay? Fehu represents life force itself, and for all these reasons is strongly associated with blood. Remember, this F is painted in blood. Okay? She says, what about the shapes of the sticks? I'm going to skip a lot of this because she can talk about it momentarily. We're going to bring her on, and but let's pay attention to what she says here that I've highlighted in the square of red. Randomly chosen sticks would likely be from the immediate area where Abby and Libby were found. Okay. Again, a dendrologist would be very helpful for identifying the species of tree or shrub of the sticks. The sticks would be more likely to be randomly chosen if the perpetrator was less prepared. So the sticks were not deposited ahead of time. There is a possibility that a single perpetrator took the time to look around the vicinity to find special stick shapes, but it is less likely. If other individuals were involved, then they could have spent time looking for particular stick shapes as well. Although it would be more noticeable to have several people moving around the late afternoon, more visible and more audible through the barren trees and shrubs of mid-February in a wooded area. Okay? So what is she getting at here? And what am I getting at? You got two possibilities with these sticks. Okay? Two possibilities. First possibility is that these sticks were chosen ahead of time, brought and placed at the location ahead of time, stored, stashed. Okay? Well, that is a possibility. And tonight, all we're discussing is possibilities. We are observing, discussing possibilities. It's my theory, though, it's my opinion, that the more likely possibility, based upon the look of these sticks, the most likely possibility, I feel, is that these sticks were chosen from the immediate vicinity. I think someone had in mind the figurations they wanted to achieve. And I think that in order to achieve those figurations, they knew which type of shapes they needed. So they knew they needed several straight sticks, okay, and they went and they found those. And then I think that they knew they needed several sticks that had sharp right angles, or angles like this, you know. And we'll be looking at some of the runes. As we start looking at bind runes, you're going to understand what sort of sticks they might have been going to look for. Okay, because it's my opinion that they went and they sought out sticks that would fit the bill for in the moment. So let's keep moving. Now, I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to lay your eyes upon things that may be disturbing, if it hasn't been bad enough already, I suggest you turn it off now, because now we're going to really take a look at some serious business. Okay. Now, I like to thank those who have helped me out with this presentation. I like to thank those who have helped me out, and this next part is going to be invaluable for you, because there's nothing like understanding what you're looking at with your own two eyes. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at the stick configuration found on Abby. Okay. So if you take a close look at that, this is the stick figuration that was found on Abby. And once again, I'm going to go back. I want you to look at this illustration. Okay, remember the illustration here with Abby? Okay, now this here is the stick figuration found on Abby. Okay? Secondly, before we move on, I want to draw your attention to something here. Notice that the center stick is the one with the clean cut edge. Okay, that stick in the center has a very clean sawed-off edge. You can see it at the top center. Notice that they cross at right angles. Okay? notice that these sticks are not uniform. I don't think that someone would have decided to plant these sticks ahead of time being so ununiform. I think that these sticks were the best you could find in a rush, and it's possible that the stick that's sawed off had been sawed off by someone in the location and dropped there on the ground, and that was part of what was found, but it's possible it wasn't. How are we to know? Okay. Next, we're going to look at the sticks that were on Libby. Okay, now here's what I want to draw your attention to. The largest stick here is actually more of like a tree. Okay, so what I did is we removed it. Okay, so this is the actual figuration, because remember what I was saying is that this very large one here, this very large branch was solely intended, in my opinion, to hold down the arm of Libby in the elevated position. Okay, so that very large branch was necessary because of its size and weight to weigh down her arm into that reaching position towards a tree that she's reaching and touching. Okay, so it's my belief that it's not part of the runage. Okay, so the configuration relating to runes that we would be looking at is what you're seeing here. Okay, should you remove that necessary large piece of a tree that was necessary to pin her arm into that position, you'd be looking here at this is the actual configuration that is then placed upon her. Okay. Now, here's going to get more frightening. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at Brad Holder. Now I want you to look down in your lower center, right next to the guy with red pants. Okay. So if you notice, I believe it's probably his son, Logan, but right next to the red pants to the left, there's a configuration that's it's in the shape of an F. Okay, let's look at the next one. In this next one, you look right under the photo that appears to be the death stare at the gym from a bald head, Brad Holder. There's another stick figure that appears to be almost a K, but it's not really a K. I think it's another rune. And if you look over to the right, where he's standing near the punching bag, to the right of that, there's another one that looks like sort of a almost a T, but not really. Okay. Okay. And then if you look over, this is the one that's really riveting here. The majority of the photos in this screenshot here, you'll notice here many runes made with sticks. Okay. Now it appears some are things that he had stumbled upon in nature. Okay. So you notice that? You notice some of them are very strange. Okay, some appear to have he has stumbled upon. Okay. But some he possibly constructed. You know, if you look towards the bottom of the page, there seems to be like some more intentional constructing or putting together. So it's hard to know what he was doing. Okay. You see that? Now, here's another one. This here is from his Facebook page. If you'll notice, look there, there's a Fehu there. Okay, there's a Fehu and a Hagalaz, And I don't know what the third one on the right is, but it's interesting because I just want that in the back of your mind. Okay, just in the back of your mind. Now, next here, I want to thank, I have a lovely, lovely viewer who sent me this. Because there are going to be detractors here. There are going to be people right now talking shit in the chat. There are going to be people later come and criticize and say that that's absolutely ridiculous. The hangman, the tarot deck has nothing to do. You know, the tarot has nothing to do. The tarot positioning would have nothing to do with Odinist. I present to you a tattoo that a viewer sent me. Okay. You'll notice here, Odin with his two ravens. Down at the bottom, there's your Ansus. He's in the hangman position. He is the hangman. Okay. Spear through the heart. Okay. For your consideration that we are not completely full of shit. This is on someone's body. I merely made it black and white. I made it black and white, okay? So that you could focus on the composition rather than the tattoo. So here we go. Let me get my friend in here now before we continue. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, how's it going again? Let me get a sound check again. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Say hello to everyone.
Hey guys.
Hello. So this is Light in the Dark. She's a wonderful YouTube creator and a friend, and she's done a lot of work with the crime scene and the runes, and I would love for you guys to get to know her, and we're gonna be discussing from here on out with her the rest of the presentation. So thank you so much for letting me use a few of your slides.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And for agreeing to join us today.
Well, thank you for having me on. This is awesome.
Awesome. I'm so sorry that it took so long. I know I said 45 minutes, but was that an hour?
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Well, thanks so much. So have you been following so far?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's really good. Really good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, let's get into the rest of it. Let's see if I can get this here with us. There we go. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So here I want to first we'll go through. I want to go through the two positions. Like I spoke with you earlier today. I told you I thought we're looking at the inverse hangman and the inverse magician. So I wanted to kind of read through these two, or some info on the possible meanings or the general ideation of these two concepts of hangman and magician. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, yeah.
So hangman here says feeling trapped, confined, self-limiting, uncertainty, lack of direction, needing release, letting go. In the general context, Hangman Tarot card indicates that you're in a situation you're not happy with. You may be feeling like you're stuck in a rut, trapped. Your frame of mind is not making you happy. May involve walking away from the situation or changing your perspective to release yourself. The hangman may also signify that you may be facing a dilemma. Okay. Let's look at another one. It says, the hangman understands that his position is a sacrifice that he needed to make in order to progress forward. whether as repentance for past wrongdoings or calculated step backward to recalculate his path forward. This
Mm-hmm.
time he spends here will not be wasted. He does this as part of progression forward. Um, the hangman reflects a particular need to suspend a certain action. That's what I wanted to get to. It's sort of like a frozen moment, okay? This means that certain actions or decisions which need to be properly implemented are likely to be postponed, even if there's an urgency. The hangman reflects a particular need to suspend this action. This is a card which is mainly designated towards waiting and suspension. Okay. You have any thoughts on hangman concepts?
Yeah, I mean, so kind of the way that I see it is that I think a lot of the tarot is based off of Carl Jung's like archetypes. If we were to go through and kind of look at them, like the magician and the hanged man to me both kind of symbolize people who are kind of outside of society. Like the hanged man is definitely either through, their own self-sabotage, hanging themselves to sacrifice themselves, or society is doing that to them. And then the magician he's kind of the opposite of the hanged man in that he has a lot of power to manifest what he wants, but he's still outside of society. So, um, I don't know if the people that were perpetrating the crime or person, yeah, whatever. I don't know if they were necessarily thinking about it that deeply, but those kind of things come to mind when I think, you know, um, when I think about tarot cards. But like you were saying earlier today, which I thought was awesome, and you were talking about the inversion and how um, you definitely saw the tarot cards, but they were complete opposites. Like, Libby being in the nude, Abby being fully clothed, even extra clothed. And then you were also saying how Labrada was like one of the girls was definitely sacrificed. And I found that very compelling that you saw that.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll get into it later. Maybe with once we're done going through these runes, it'd be interesting to kind of talk about that aspect where,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's almost frightening what I'm seeing here because I'm seeing that Abby is like Abby's situation is both a Hagao and a hangman, and then she's posed that way. It's incredible. Like
Mm-hmm.
to think of the concept of an unforeseen, devastating storm coming upon you out of the blue.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
been my concept that that's what happened to Abby. That she was
Mm,
what happened to her was that a storm came upon her. You know,
that's excellent. Yeah, that's a great observation. Yeah. When you
and
when you put it like that, definitely.
yeah, and she was something that this said earlier about the hanged man that it trapped or confined in a situation not you're not happy with or almost like she's been placed into that situation by this Hagal coming upon her. But then I look
Mm-hmm.
at Libby. Okay, so let's move on to this
Okay,
magician.
yeah.
Magician is a representation of pure willpower. With the power of the elements and the suits, he takes the potential innate in the fool and molds it into being with the power of desire. He's a connecting force between heaven and earth. Remember the as above, so below. I said that one
Mm-hmm.
arm up, one arm down. It's connecting.
Yeah.
Um, when you get the magician in your reading, it might mean that it's time to tap into your full potential. It shows the time to take action is now. Now, remember, I was also saying that the interesting thing about the Urus is that it's similar, isn't it? Similar to magician, where it's taking something
Yes.
potential and it's creating
Yes.
a strength. So
Yes.
it's the concept of some weakness to strength, and this is what magician is. So it's almost like both. It's almost like they're additive. This
Wow.
tarot posturing and then the rune on top of each girl. They both are meaning the same things in ways. And
Wow. Yeah. No, that's an excellent observation. Yeah, exactly. You know, if the magician is there to manifest, and Urus is kind of like, you know, when a bull gets going, you just got to get out of the way because you're not going to stop them, kind of thing. Urus is life force. You know, it's vitality, not in the same sense of Fehu, but it is that driving, manifesting, like ability to create.
yeah, and it sort of makes me think of this situation when you reference vibrato. It makes me think like both seem similar. Like with Abby, you have if she's victimized first and it's not a sacrifice but a murder, if she's
Hmm.
killed, okay,
Hmm.
first, and that is the storm coming upon her, and that is her hanged man moment, okay,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
then these idiots decide, these demons decide that they're
Hmm.
then going to sacrifice Libby, and then she becomes this taking possession of this terrible situation and turning it into their strength in their minds. You know, so
Yeah.
they're transforming this disaster that happened with Abby into a ritual sacrifice, therefore an empowering thing, grabbing hold of the life force for their own strengthening or their own urus, and it's
Yeah.
I just see it that it's potential in the signatures is what I'm reading here.
Wow. Yeah,
Um,
no, I think that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, not, you know, not in the sense of I see where you're connecting the two, and it makes a lot of sense when you connect them.
thank you. It would also align with Librato what he said, you know. But look at this
Hmm.
one. So as we get into the runes, so I want to look at this because I thought about this right when I looked.
Hmm.
Okay, let's take a look. Let me jump back a bit. Let's see. I have to go to slide number. Let's look at this one.
Mm.
Okay. Now remember, we've already said that this prior, okay, we said that this is the Hagal on Abby, okay, right here.
Yes, yeah. Hmm.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to look at this one. Okay, this is on Libby, and it's a little indistinguishable, but then I thought about the how both of the tarot images are inversed, okay?
Yeah.
And I thought about this here, and when I did it, my jaw dropped. I thought, wow, it could be that they're pointing at this too. So if you take the
Oh,
Hagalas and invert it,
yeah. Yep.
you
That's,
know,
yep, definitely.
okay. So let's read then. What do we say about this? Okay, so it says Hagalas, literally hail or hailstorm, crisis
Hmm.
or radical change.
Hmm.
Key concepts: hailstones, crisis, catastrophe, disruption, radical change, destructive elements in nature, severe weather, the uncontrollable, you know,
Yeah.
unavoidable
Mm.
unpleasantness, Jungian shadow, disruption, change, power beyond human ability to harness,
Mm.
bad weather, obstacles.
Yeah.
You know, for divinations, it's change according to ideals, changes for long-term good. Here's a key one: controlled crisis.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and I'm thinking literally that if both of these girls have elements of the Hagal or Hagalas on them,
Yeah.
it could be describing the situation that there was some uncontrollable crisis, and that the way it was dealt with was with the urus or the uh, what's the other one that's the ox, the strength of the ox?
The aurochs, the like
No,
that.
no, I'm thinking the cattle,
Oh, Fehu.
the fehu, because both I look at as very powerful, strong, uh,
Mm-hmm.
like this powerful, life-sustaining energy. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like, man, did they in their minds? Because remember, we're looking into the minds of these people. It's not necessarily what's true or what we would think, but
Right.
in their psychology, are they thinking we have this situation and we're going to transform it with dark magic?
Yeah.
And is
Yeah.
that what we saw? Is that what we're looking at?
I mean, it's a great theory, definitely. I mean, I mean, we can't know what they were thinking, but at the same time, it could have just been like you were saying earlier when you were talking about how if the girls had stumbled across um, the like people in the woods or whatever the case is. Oh shoot, did we lose him? Well, here, I'll keep talking. Oh, good, we got you back. Good.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, but how you were saying, if the girls had stumbled across something they weren't supposed to, and perhaps, it's such a small town too, maybe people could, easily identify who Libby was in particular. And if it was the wrong group of people having to do, with a certain sort of trade in that area, um, would Libby be a target? And then would it just be kind of convenient for them to do what they did and, possibly stage it to look different? But, at the same time, it does seem like Libby was, I think they were both sacrificed, but I definitely think Libby was sacrificed for sure.
Well, let's look at a couple things. We spoke earlier about some other peripheral
Hmm.
possibilities, and I just want
Hmm.
to, since you're bringing that up,
Yeah.
I want to touch on a couple things before we get into the looking at all the runes that could possibly involve the bind runes. But let's
Okay.
look
Yeah.
at these. I want to look at the girls. I ask you guys in the audience, please bear with us here. Okay, please bear with us. I know that this is tedious. Again, we're trying to look at this crime scene and all the elements and give some possibilities to consider. Okay.
Okay.
So I want to look at Liberty. Okay, Liberty German.
Mm.
When I first learned her name was Liberty German, uh, I immediately thought German Liberty. Okay,
Hmm. Wow.
I
Yeah.
immediately thought German Liberty, and immediately I thought how this is a place that is rife with Germanic descent. Like
Right.
the very thick Germanic descent.
Hmm.
Uh, then we're going into the white supremacist elements and
Oh
all of
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But I want to look at liberty because if we were, when I think of liberty, okay, if I were to say to you liberty, what would be the first thing you would think as an
Freedom.
American?
Yeah. Freedom.
Yeah, and what might be an image you would think? The statue.
Yeah.
The
Statue.
statue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, if you were to look at the Statue of Liberty, what is the Statue of Liberty doing?
Oh shit.
She's holding a torch similar to the magician, okay, similar to
Yes.
Libby's posturing.
Yes.
And she's called Lady Liberty,
Wow.
okay?
Yep.
Now, Lady
Yep.
Liberty is also known as Columbia, okay?
Hmm.
Columbia is the American version of Libertas. And so when I thought of looking at Liberty's name, I thought, wow, let me think about that posturing of her body and the personification of liberty. And so that's what I want to read here is from some information about libertas, which would tie into the greater
Hmm.
concept of liberty
Gotcha.
as a name. Um, Libertas is the Roman goddess and personification of liberty. She became a politicized figure in the late Republic. She sometimes also appeared on coins from the medieval period, uh, such as Galba's Freedom of the People coins during his short reign after the death of Nero. She is usually portrayed with two accoutrements, the spear. Now, remember, the magician
Mm-hmm.
is holding a
Mm-hmm. I
wand
want. Yep.
or a rod,
Yep.
and she's basically holding a tree at the crime scene,
Yep. Yep.
and a Phrygian cap, which she holds out on the spear rather than wears on her head. The Greek equivalent of the goddess Libertas is Eulistheria, the personification of liberty. There are many post-classical depictions of liberty as a person, which often retain some of the iconography of the Roman goddess. Okay, the name libertas, freedom, is a derivation from Latin liber, meaning free, stemming from the Proto-Italic and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Uh, but I want to go to the next page because this next page is going to really hit on something. Let's see. Okay.
Nice.
Among the Romans, the cap of felt was the emblem of liberty. When a slave obtained his freedom, he had his head shaved and wore instead of his hair an undyed pileus. Hence the
Mm.
phrase servus ad pileum vocare is a summons to liberty by which slaves were frequently called upon to take up arms with the promise of liberty. The figure of liberty on some coins of Antonius Pius, struck AD 145, holds the cap in his right hand. And then look at this highlighted portion.
Yeah.
Libertas was also recognized in ancient Rome by the rod, used
Wow.
ceremonially in the act of uh, manumissimo vindicata, Latin for freedom by the rod.
Wow.
Freedom by the rod. So it says the master brought his slave before the magistrate and stated the grounds of the intended manumission. The lictor of the magistratus laid a rod on the head of the slave, okay,
Oh, wow.
accompanied with certain formal words in which he declared that he was a free man, ex jure quiritium, that is, vindicavit in libertatem. The master, in the meantime, held the slave, and after he pronounced the words, blah, 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 he turns
Yeah.
around and he says, now you're free. Okay. So
Wow.
basically, what I'm getting at, it's the touching of the head and pronouncing the slave free.
Wow.
So I thought that just all together, that's an interesting,
Yes. That is super interesting.
yeah, it's interesting and concerning, highly
And yeah, because how well planned would that have had to have been?
incredibly well planned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's look at another thing because this one is going to frighten you even more, I promise. And
Okay.
once again, this is not in any way to upset or
Right.
exploit these victims
Mm-hmm.
with speculation. We're just literally looking at every aspect of the crime scene. And keep in mind that the
Right.
name of the victims is part of the crime scene. Okay.
Okay. This is very interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's look at Abigail Williams. Abigail Williams, age 11 or 12 in 1692, played a major role in the Salem witch trials as one of the prominent accusers.
Wow.
She lived with her uncle, the Reverend Samuel Parris, Salem's village minister. Although it was ordinary practice for young girls to live with relatives to learn how to housewifery, we know very little about Abigail, including where she was born and who her parents were. The traditional story about the beginning of the Salem witch trials tells of a circle of young girls practicing voodoo and fortune telling under the direction of Samuel Parris's Indian slave Tituba. It is commonly suggested that the girls were interested in fortune telling because they wanted to know the occupation of their future husbands. Even though this version is perpetrated in historical works and literature, there's no record of any sort of group fortune telling in Parris's household or linkage between Tituba, voodoo, and the girls. Okay. I'll skip
Mhm.
ahead a bit because you can go on your own and read about the Salem witch trials. But here's where it gets very odd. Okay.
Mhm.
During Elizabeth Proctor's oh, during Elizabeth Proctor's examination, Abigail revealed she witnessed Elizabeth's specter, along with 40 other witches, partake in a sacrament of blood drinking outside of the Paris
Oh,
house.
no. Okay.
Okay, so where Abigail and these other girls were having, it's been speculated in modernity that they were the possible victims of ergot poisoning, but it's not
Mhm.
confirmed, it's speculated because
Yeah.
she would go into convulsions. These girls were going into these uh, like convulsions, fits. Um, they were seeing things, they were hallucinating and having spastic, uh, almost like epileptic type convulsive fits. And
Mhm.
the interesting thing, though, is that Abigail Williams, along with these other couple girls, were the primary accusers, okay, that there was a circle of witches
Yeah.
performing witchcraft and drinking blood in the community and involved many of the prominent figures in the community. And
Ugh.
so, since she played a very major role uh, in this, I'll read a little more towards the end of this, but she played a major role in this
Yeah.
accusing of witchcraft.
Uh-huh.
Uh, those who fancy themselves witches have taken a very negative, or she's sort of become like a
Like the Karen of the Salem
she's sort
people.
yeah, she's like the dirty Karen
Yeah.
of the Wiccans or the witchcraft crowd. And it's interesting
Yeah.
because again, could be totally nothing and nothing but a coincidence that we're talking about a girl named Liberty German and Abigail Williams. But should the names have any relevancy, I think it would be extremely relevant that someone bearing the namesake Abigail Williams, being someone who's vilified by those practicing witchcraft for
Right.
hundreds of years now, you know,
Right.
I think it's something just to have in the back of our minds going forward.
I mean, that's fascinating because I mean that would be so intentional.
It would be very, I think.
Wow.
So it says here, it says, it's not clear why Abigail suffered fits and went on to accuse many respectable people. Historians Norton and Roach speculate that involved the attention she received. Young girls in Puritan society did not receive much consideration, and perhaps Abigail, displaced from her immediate family, craved this attention.
Mm-hmm.
It appears some of her contemporaries were skeptical of her behavior. John Hutchinson of Salem Village attempted to discredit her accusations and implicitly accused her of witchcraft. What?
Ugh.
He testified
Well.
that Abigail told him she could now talk to the devil as well as she could converse with him.
Oh. Wow.
Even though Abigail played a major role as an accuser at the beginning of the trials, especially in March, April, May, she gave her last testimony on June 3rd, 1692, and there's no historical documentation suggesting why she virtually disappeared. And there's no record what happened to her after the events of 1692. But it's known
Mm.
that it's now known, it's not here in this article, but it's now known that she died very early. She didn't live.
Okay.
Yeah. But so she was accusing many of the people in the community, including very elite people, of
Mm-hmm.
witchcraft and of blood drinking. I mean,
Jeez. Yeah. Wow. That's
okay,
heavy.
it's heavy. So that goes for that section. So I think the rest of what I'd like to do before we get to the chat is
Oh yeah.
I think what I'd like to do is kind of look at runes more closely now. So
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe I'll let you kind of give like the summary of this page we're looking at, and then we'll
Oh
just
yeah,
go one
definitely.
by one through a bunch of runes that I selected a bunch of runes that I thought could be relevant to the bind runes if that's an aspect of
Yeah.
what we're looking at.
Okay, cool. Yes, so basically, I just went over what bind runes were, where you can combine, more than one or, well, it's actually probably two or more runes to make a design that has some sort of magical or symbolic meaning that, it's mostly done for spell work. So at least it has become pretty common in modern Norse Germanic paganism. So the choice of runes and their configuration is purposeful. So people will, it's usually based on a magical intention, pick out the runes that will go best for their magical intentions, and then make them into a design. And basically, the easiest way that I've seen people do this is they sketch it out on a piece of paper, fold it up, put it in their pocket, tuck it in their bra, whatever, and they go on their day. And then by the end of the day, if the things have come to fruition, they usually do something symbolic or ritualistic to that little piece of paper, whether they put it on their altar, or they light it, or they bury it, or whatever the case is, it's just it's going back to the energy that was initially put into it. So I will say that bind runes are going to be very particular to the person creating the bind rune. So whatever the creator, wearer or carrier is going to be needing for that day, they will definitely be, it'll be very subjective to them. But I kind of made this little chart too, where I went over the different kinds of runic alphabets. There's definitely like the Elder Futhark, which is the most commonly used, the Younger Futhark, and then the Anglo-Saxon Futhark. So just to make my life easier, I kind of had to figure out the structure of the different runes and kind of make sense of them. So that's what we're seeing here with the asymmetrical right-facing runes, and then these symmetrical side-to-side runes. And what I meant by side-to-side was basically if you were to flip them on their vertical axes, but horizontally, they would mirror each other. And then these bottom runes were the asymmetrical, undefined orientation. So I was kind of like, well, these guys, they can't be mirrored, but they're also not right facing. So, but yeah, basically, uh, if bind runes are weirdly drawn or drawn inverted, it's probably having to do with the artist is either inexperienced, or they're taking artistic license, or you know in this case I was like, well, maybe they could be attempting to make it confusing for the people stumbling across the crime scene. But it is very subjective, and it would be very difficult to know exactly what they mean.
Yeah, and I think something important to say is that if we were talking about building bind runes with sticks, we have to
Mm-hmm.
consider there's a 3D nature involved because let's say, if you're drawing a bind rune, well, it's a whole different thing because it's one
Mm-hmm.
dimensional,
Right.
or two. But should you be uh, building them with three-dimensional objects, so things are going to have to stack up on top of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
would imagine that, say you're going to make a rune that consists of two. Okay, so the first one you would build with your two sticks or three sticks. You put them
Yeah.
down. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they would be in one plane. But then after that, now you're going to have to get more sticks to add the next rune on top of it. So I thought of something like when you would come into it and look at it, um, you know, like you know where I thought of it first was when I looked at
Mm,
the rune on Abbey. I thought this. I thought, well, yeah, that's most definitely Hagal. You know,
mhm.
however, if it was a bind rune being made by someone in the spur of the moment under a lot of intensity, I thought it could be something crazy like Issa and Gibo or something, like where
Right, yeah.
they would take one of them and put it down, and then maybe
Hmm.
they're saying, okay, no, now I want an Issa. And so then they go get another one, and then they just pop it on top. And now you have what's almost identical to a Hagal, but it's actually a bind rune. And I don't think that's what happened. I just give the consideration that if they're using sticks,
Right.
they would be stacking sticks in an odd manner. And it
Yeah.
almost appears when you look at these sticks that I showed, they
Hmm.
kind of look oddly stacked, but
Yeah, you're right. They do. And, that could very much be a part of the ritual. If they were genuinely not concerned about getting, discovered, they could possibly be chanting, like, putting one stick down and saying, you know, in Seder or Galdar magic work, it has to do with chanting the runes. So they would, probably be saying like Isa as they put the rune down.
right. And I would think
Yeah.
even one person could put one down, and then the other one
Hmm.
could come and put the next one on, and now you have a bind rune made from two or
Right.
three different people.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that there is that potential. And keep in
Yeah.
mind that what we're doing now is we're trying to have all the potentials in the stew to kind of
Right.
mix up in our brains and let us come out with something. So
Definitely. Yeah.
now here's the hard part. Here's what I want to blaze through a bunch of these, but I went through every single thing I could find. I mean, I
Okay.
literally spent days looking at all of these runes that could possibly be put together to form bind runes.
Oh boy.
And what I did was I eliminated the ones that were not relevant, that were, looking at. I
Hmm.
only looked at the sticks. Now, I want to say this before we go forward. You actually, in your work, you look at the positioning of the bodies as perhaps being part of runes and
Hmm.
rune figurations, but that's where I disagree. I look at the bodies as strictly tarot based.
Okay. Yeah,
So I'm only
definitely.
looking at the sticks as the runes, but
Right, right.
so
And
when I
and it
looked
yeah,
at the
it could
runes, I was only thinking of the sticks. So you would probably have many more possibilities if you're including the body shapes, but
yeah,
but
and it gets confusing too, 'cause there's just so many variations that I like the tarot angle too, but like I like to keep all options open. So I'm excited to see what you have.
well, all I did, like I'm saying, I'm looking at only the sticks. And what I
Okay.
did, and remember, I'm removing the very large tree that's on Libby's arm to hold it up
Okay.
because I
Yep.
don't believe it's part of the figuration. Okay.
And I didn't think it was either, but
Okay.
I had to include it just in case. And yeah, so I agree with you. I think it's used to pin down or pin her arm to
Pin her
touch
arm
the
into
tree.
that position. That's what
Yep,
I think. So I only
yep.
looked at the others, but what I did with that limited configuration, I looked at it and I said, okay, I'm eliminating everything that doesn't fit, and I'm only
Okay.
keeping what would fit. So with all of these that we're going to
Mhm.
look at, they're all potentials that any one or two or three could come together and possibly be a bind rune if that's what we're seeing. But I don't think I got to preface it with, I don't think we're looking at bind runes at all. I don't.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But it's a possibility, so I want to cover it. And so
Okay. Yeah.
let's get through these quick as possible. I intended to read all of these, but knowing that that might take two more hours, I
Oh,
think I'll
yeah.
go quickly. But so let's
Okay.
look at a few. So we've already talked about the first couple we will have already covered. So
Yeah.
Uru's rune. Uru's is the second rune in the 24 letter Futhark with the symbol or referring to, I don't know, aurochs, a wild
Mhm.
bovine animal that's now extinct, similar to an ox.
Yeah.
The rune character itself depicts the horns and also represents the gateway to the world beyond. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I like
Um,
that.
the Uruz reveals the almost an inexhaustible power that lies in the very essence of every human. So I'll just leave this for if people want to screenshot it and read later. But the basic thing, like we were getting at, is it's almost an inexhaustible strength potential.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so next, let's see. So this is some more on it. If anyone wants to screenshot that, go ahead.
Nice.
It says if you draw, let's look at fixed meaning. It says if you draw as the rune of the day, it heralds health, vitality, strength, professional opportunities, wishes can come true, dreams can come true. It also refers to sudden positive changes.
Hmm.
Okay. And then we've spoken at length about this, which I do believe we are looking at
Okay.
on
Yeah.
both girls possibly, but at least
Right.
one.
Yeah.
The powerful winter rune is associated in the traditional meaning with both snowstorm, hailstorm, lightning, I would say blizzard, bad stuff,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah,
The
definitely.
rune is said to symbolize the hail that brings setbacks, but also hard fates. Part of the message
Yes.
behind it is if you manage to overcome difficulties that come your way, you're in for a much brighter future. Okay.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
then we'll
Yeah.
get to the Hagalas is not easy to interpret with its thematic emphasis. Hagalas is a rune of fundamental upheavals, which vehemently calls for self-change, finally realizing the dream job, freeing oneself from broken partnerships, leaving false friends. It reveals potentials for change that everyone carries with themselves. No matter how much
Mm.
it hurts, the Hail rune advises rigorous rethinking and confrontation with oneself. Okay, and on and on. And so
Interesting.
let's look at Fehu though, because we've
Yeah.
also spoken about this, and this is I'm thinking possibly what we're looking at on the tree is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Um, it's related to fertility, possessions, potential for fulfillment on a firm foundation, promises returns, creative ambitions realized. Um, it's the first rune within the alphabet,
Hmm.
stands for abundance. It's said to embody the horns of a cow or an ox, and it's interesting because
Wow.
that's also what Aleph represents. Basically,
Oh,
Fehu
yeah.
is exactly what Aleph is, or the letter A. It's
Right.
the head of a
With,
cattle.
okay. Within the Hebrew alphabet.
Yeah. The symbol of the rune Fehu represents cattle horns. Uh, Again, it refers to owning cattle, following cattle, but also back to the Hebrew alphabet. It's remember that Jesus and God were always said to say, "I am the Alpha and Omega," or the beginning
Mm-hmm.
and the end.
Yes.
Um, and if you're in the Jewish tradition, it's the Aleph and the what is it? Uh, Tav, Aleph and Tav. So
Okay.
first and last. So I think often when I would think of when I would look at this Fehu as opposed to the Ansus, I would say that yeah, maybe they're pointing at like a lifeblood thing, a blood ritual, a beginning. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But let's get out of here. Oh wait, there's another page. Oh, we got it. Okay, spiritual meaning of Fehu. Um, So it's a seed that's planted to reap rewards. Like I said, it's a beginning. It's the
Yeah.
typical alpha and omega. It's the beginning. It's the alpha. Okay, and the Ansus, it's been well covered, but for those who haven't heard it yet, it just basically means Odin or God, basically.
Right.
So we'll blaze through that. And anyone wants to screenshot, they can grab that. And now here's an interesting one.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about bind runes, I've noticed that on two or three of the sticks in particular, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely pointing at this, I think. Like two or
Yeah.
three of the sticks have this very distinct uh,
Mm-hmm.
branching that juts out like this,
Right.
And so this is what I thought is we should maybe just consider, because this is not talked about a lot. This could be if there's bind runing going on here.
Okay. Yeah.
It could be an element which it says the rune Ken Nas is the sixth of the Oder Futhark. Its characteristic resembles a torch, the
Mm-hmm.
light that illuminates the darkness. Associated with the Norse goddess of love, Freya, it
Mm.
symbolizes positive components of human libido and sexual passion.
Mm.
Um, it shows one's sunny and dark sides. Remember, what does a light do? A light illuminates the darkness so you can see what's there in the dark.
Right.
Yin yang.
Right.
Light is like a yin yang. You know the light by the or you know the darkness by the absence of the light, and you know the light by the absence of the darkness.
Right.
Um, it's a positive thing. It says represents the positive side of enthusiasm, human passion, um, femininity. It also represents the sexual sides.
Mm-hmm.
It leads you to develop self confidence. And I noticed that it's on Libby that those are the. If there was bind runing that we're looking at on Libby, I think that it could be a part because it's like remember she's nude. It's almost
Mm-hmm.
like it's a positive divining thing. I don't know. So I put it here.
Right.
People can look at it.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Okay. And then I also thought I saw the Jera.
Okay.
Okay. So um, associates with time. Okay, time.
Right.
And
Cyclical patterns. Yep. Harvests.
rhythm, change, movement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like the year, also the year.
Yeah.
Um, it's formed from two kanas. You know how we're saying like I think I see at least one or more on Libby.
Uh-huh.
Well, that would be interesting too because this is formed from two of the kanas runes.
Right. Yep.
Um, I don't know. It's. I think it's a potential if there is bind runing on Libby. Okay.
Right. Right.
Um, so far we have like the sexuality, the feminine energy, the light versus dark, the
Right.
um, and what was it? Oh,
And then like the power of
the
the
time, the time.
yeah.
Anyway, so blaze through those. Now, I
Oh
wanted people
wow.
to look, okay, real closely at this. Why I'm saying I'm thinking I'm seeing Hagalas or
Uh-huh.
Hag. Oh gosh, Hagalas on what I think I see on Libby could be okay.
Yeah.
If you look here, look at where it says shape in the upper right. You notice
The
how
upper
there's
right.
one configuration that has the two,
Yes. Yep.
and that stick on Libby has these two jutting off
Right.
like that.
And that's super interesting because then they if that's purposeful, that's extra time and thought, you
Yeah, it
know?
means they had to seek out a stick that did
Yep.
this and had the two at an angle coming
r-
up.
Right. And you said there was only one branch that was cleanly cut.
Only one. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that's spooky.
Yeah. So I believe, like we mentioned before, I think it is the Hagal on Abby,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And it's potentially an inverted Hagal or Hagalas on Libby, if that's what those two branches coming off are indicating with that placement.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's a great call.
Um, so let's move to this one. This is just showing
Okay.
people in Ansu's,
Oh, the
okay,
variations.
the variations.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of different variations right there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Compare that to the Fehu, okay? See,
Mm-hmm.
notice, okay, look at that. Okay, look at all those variations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now look at how the Fehu doesn't have that type of variation. Check this out.
Wow. It just stays the same.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That
And
is really
remember,
interesting. Yeah.
okay, remember we talked about the
Oh, wow.
kanaz, the torch.
Those are very different.
See how they're different, but they're almost
Yeah.
just like inverted. It's, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
understandable.
Right, right.
Um, yeah, so, oh, did I put it twice? Looks like I got it twice here.
Oh, that's okay. Oh,
Okay, now
wow.
I thought I might have also seen this as a potential,
Mm-hmm.
like you
Mm-hmm.
thought, the Yoru's potential in the
Yeah.
binary. Yeah.
Rain. Okay.
Okay. So now I want to move on. So that kind of covers them. That's all of them.
Yeah. No, those are all really cool to see all the different variations.
Um, now it's going to get a little serious again here.
Okay.
So this is from the Wikipedia about the hangman, and I found a very interesting line of links that I clicked
Okay.
through, and it got me someplace. You know, it's funny how you'll get places you don't even know to go. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So check out this. Remember, I'm alleging that Abby is posed as hangman. I am
Okay.
confident in my mind. But
I agree with that. Yeah.
look at the highlighted portion here. It says in the 1910 book, The Pictorial Key to Tarot, A.E. White, the designer of the Rider White tarot deck, wrote of the symbol. The gallows from which he is suspended forms a tau cross, while the
Mm,
figure from the position of the legs forms a flyfot cross. Okay,
interesting.
or it's actually Phil. Okay, a Phil flot.
It sounds like a filja, which is a Norse concept of the soul.
It says there is a nimbus about the head of the seeming martyr. It should be noted that the tree of sacrifice is living wood with leaves thereon.
Oh, wow.
So it's interesting that
Yeah.
the
That's
concept of hangman should not be on a dead wood cross. It should be on a living tree. And these girls are found in living trees, you know. And
yes.
so about this cross, let's look at it.
Wow.
The
Okay.
Philpot cross and its mirror image, the Gamadian, are the type or a type of swastika associated with medieval Anglo-Saxon culture.
Okay.
Okay, didn't expect that.
No, yeah.
Yeah. So the down at history,
Yeah.
the Philpot, together with its sister figures, the Gamadian and the swastika, have been found in a great variety of contexts over the centuries. Okay, so let's forward on over.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
Oh, wow. Here we go.
okay.
Yeah. Wow.
Odinic Rite, Philpot. Wow. In more recent
Ugh.
times, Philpot has gained greater currency within the areas of design history and collecting, where it is used to distinguish the swastika motif as used in designs and jewelry from that used in Nazi paraphernalia.
Wow.
After the appropriation of the swastika by Nazi organizations, the term Philpot has been used to distinguish historical and non-Nazi instances of the symbol from those where the term swastika might carry specific connotations. So what it's saying is it's swastika. It's swastika, but it's a more benign, differentiated swastika to separate oneself. However, the word and symbol continue to have major religious significance for Buddhists, Hindus, Jains, and other Eastern faiths.
Mm-hmm.
For this reason, some have campaigned to have all uses of the word in a Nazi context changed say, to use the word German, cross.
Hakenkreuz.
Okay. And then how in the highlighted portion it says, well, right before it says, phi flat is used to describe the ancient symbol and swastika used as it refers only to the symbol used by the Nazis. Odinic Rite, a neo-Volkish white supremacist Germanic pagan organization, uses both swastika and Filfat for what they claim as the holy symbol of Odinism.
Oh, wow.
So remember where we got to this, okay?
Yeah.
We got to this
Hanged man.
from that the hanged man is
Mhm.
the image of this.
Wow.
Okay, so let's go back to hangman. You see it?
Holy crap. This
It
person
says,
this person would have so much knowledge of the occult. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it says, while the figure from the position of the legs forms a Filfat cross. Okay, then
Wow.
here we go to that Filfat is actually the Odinic symbol of the neo-Volkish white supremacist Germanic pagan organization, and they claim it's the holy symbol of Odinism.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. This is scary.
Yeah. And now it says, what is swastika? Swastika symbol has been identified as representing the hammer or lightning of Thor.
Huh. Okay.
Scholar Hilda Ellis Davidson comments on the usage of swastika as a symbol of Thor. The protective sign of the hammer was worn by women, as we know from the fact that it has been found on women's graves. It seems to
Oh.
have been used by warrior also in the form of the swastika. Primarily, it appears to have had connections with light and fire and to have been linked with the sun wheel. It may have been on account of Thor's association with lightning that this sign was used as an alternative to the hammer.
Mm.
So this is also, do you understand now why I'm getting at that? No wonder the Odinist would use this as a symbol for Odinism,
Yeah.
because it's a replacement for the hammer of Thor.
Wow.
It's one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, this is
Now,
excellent work. This is excellent.
not only that, let's go to the next one. This is where it gets worse.
Oh boy.
Norse rune symbols and the Third Reich. Some of the symbols treated in this article may be interpreted as pointing to Nazi ideology in certain contexts. Their use in the present article has nothing to do with it. Any such connotations are recent development as compared to the long history of most of these signs. Below, both their original meaning in the Norse Viking culture and their use in Nazi Germany is treated, in order to demonstrate that the earlier original tradition is much older. Well, we all know that. But it
Yeah.
should be observed that the interest towards runology, so characteristic for early 20th century German Nazi circles, was heated by the works of Guido von List, occult
Mm-hmm.
runic revivalist. Von
Yeah.
List created his own version of the Futhark known as uh, Armanin runes, allegedly revealed to his inner eye. And I've read about that. It's nothing, okay?
Right.
But
Yeah.
look at these, okay? Look at the Hagal.
Wow.
And look, you talked about the SIG in
Yeah.
your presentation.
Yes.
Okay, the SIG is the swastika. The SIG is the hammer of Thor. You get where it's how it's all
Yeah.
tying,
And it looks like lightning too.
and it looks like lightning if it's angled like that. And let's
Yep.
look at one more. So Jera, also
Mm-hmm.
known as a conventional name of the J rune. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Now look at Ger
Uh-huh.
and Eel.
Yeah.
Okay. And think of those
Yep.
sticks again. Okay. Now look here. It says down at the bottom, the derivation of the rune is uncertain. Some scholars see it as a modification of the Latin G. Okay.
Hmm.
As the only rune of the Elder Futhark which was not connected, its evolution was most thorough transformation, was the most thorough transformation of all runes, and it was to have previous or numerous graphical variants. In later period of the Elder Futhark, during the 5th to 6th centuries, connected variants appear, and these are the ones that give rise to the derivations in Anglo-Saxon, Saxon and Scandinavian traditions. Now, here's where it gets really fucked up, okay?
Okay.
Esoteric insignia of the Schutzstaffel, known as the German SS Rune, were used
Yes.
from the 1920s to 1945 on SS flags. They also represented the virtues seen desirable in SS members. Okay, now let's look at this. What do you see here?
Yeah, the double Sobilo or Segrun, whatever you want to call it.
The
The
sig, yeah, you see
yeah.
the sig, which is the swastika, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, I would skip the elf and the gur, but then
And
look
then
down there at the bottom, the Hagal.
is faith.
The
Wow.
Hagal Armanen rune was widely used in the SS for its symbolic representation of unshakable faith in the Nazi philosophy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Mother rune. Wow.
what that's screaming to me is that it's coming full circle with
Right.
the German Nordic occult
Yes.
witchcraft, like I
Yep.
see it coming all the way back around. It comes back around to Thor, it comes back
Mm-hmm.
around to Odin, it comes back
Mm-hmm.
around to German, it comes back around to
Mm-hmm.
Nazi. It's a full circle.
Right. Yep. It is very interconnected and interwoven.
Yep.
Yeah, I see that too. I mean, I see that now because of this excellent work that you have done. Yeah, this is very valuable. I'm going to be looking over this again for sure, again and again. Wow.
Well, well, thank you for the nice words. And before we finish with this, let's just look at the. I want to show again, okay, for everyone still here. I know it's a lot to take in. It's a lot. Okay, it's a lot. But I think that the in summary, it's all pointing to one thing. It really is. We're
Yeah.
pointing towards this appears to be some sort of people who have some idea
Mm-hmm.
of occult symbolism,
Yeah.
and particularly in the German, Nazi, Norse, Odinist
Yep.
arena. It's
Right.
clear.
Mm-hmm.
And the particular runes that are chosen all point at that particular corner. Okay, now remember, I want to show you one more time. This is what was on Abby.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay.
this is what was on Libby. Okay,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so God bless our girls.
Yeah.
We cannot control what happened to them, and we can't change what happened to them, but we can observe and use our minds and our souls and each other
Right.
as sounding boards to try to understand, because this is so complex. I don't even think law enforcement could handle it in the first days, and maybe they still haven't handled it.
Right.
It's
I mean,
difficult.
it is very difficult, but that's so well said that you're right. We can't control what happened to them, but we can come together and use our knowledge to kind of try to figure this thing out. But that what your research that you've done is just fabulous. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this. This is gonna be part of my Delphi playlist for sure because this is a lot of work and there are so many overlapping connections that you have found there.
Well, thank you. I couldn't have done it without you either, because your presentation helped me as well. So
Oh, yeah, you definitely did a lot of work here that is very valuable. So, thank you so much for having me on. Um, yeah, I hope you continue to dig into stuff like this, because this is just, it's an endless rabbit hole, and it shouldn't have to be. It shouldn't have to be.
Well, thank you. And
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was great. This was excellent. I can't wait to go back and rewatch this actually. So,
thank you. Let me ask the chat. Does anyone have any questions for our lovely guest before she leaves for the night? If you've got specific anything for her, drop it now, and let's see if she's going to be able
we'll
to
see.
answer. And then, if
We'll
not,
see.
I can always, we can always have her back if you guys
Yeah,
want.
I'd love to be back. Um,
Someone says, "Why Abby? Why Indiana? Why Earth?" Yeah, why Libby?
I don't know. I don't know why people do what they do, but the right people should be held accountable so they can't do it again.
Nancy says, "I just can't understand how these people are this smart." Well, let me say something there, because as I really studied these runes, the first thing I thought is these people ain't that smart. I think we're dealing with posers. Okay, my personal opinion is that we're dealing with posers. Okay, now we know
Mhm.
that Elvis Fields liked to copy Brad Holder. I mean, that's a goddamn fact.
Yeah.
Elvis Fields loved to copy Brad Holder and his Facebook. And what did Holder have on his Facebook? I showed you earlier. Okay, so I'm thinking, did he, was Elvis Fields there, like he alleged, and his sisters
Mhm.
confirmed via polygraph? He put himself
Mhm.
there. He put himself putting sticks on the girls, spitting on the girls. Okay, if that really happened, then
Mhm.
is what we're looking at the fact that Elvis Fields dreamed up a couple runes or a couple rune-like configurations? Is that what we're looking at? Did Elvis just say, "Hey, I'm going to put some sticks on the girls that kind of look like what I remember runes looking like"? I don't know. I mean, my opinion, yeah, they're not that smart, and that's probably what happens. But
Yeah, I wonder if he was trying to impress Brad.
yeah, I don't know. Oh, look, we have a question. I have Apophis says, "Well, welcome in. I question: Have you ever heard of Odin before this case?"
Oh yeah. Yeah, I worked at a metaphysical shop for a while, and for about 3 years, and it was they had classes, and there was one of the owners. It was a husband and wife team, and one of the owners was very into heathenry, and he's a very knowledgeable man, um, very kind, inclusive, all encompassing, well-rounded metaphysical shop that, like, it's the best in the area in my opinion. But um they had a lot of classes, and they had a lot of really good information, and I you know I learned a lot, and I love learning, so started coming
Awesome.
into.
He has another question. Were you surprised to learn that Odin was this connected to the Hangman card?
Not necessarily, because I think even in a lot of tarot books, people will mention it. And it's so that story is, in the Havamal of Odin hanging from the tree for 9 nights and 9 days, sacrificing himself to himself, is so it like everybody always loves to cite that and repeat that. So
Can you
um,
repeat it for us again?
yeah, so I'm just paraphrasing here. I believe it's from the Havamal, which is part of I think it's part of the Poetic Edda, or maybe it's its own thing. But um, it is Odin, hung from the tree for 9 nights and 9 days and sacrificed himself to himself. And this was in order to gain knowledge of the runes, but he also plucked out an eye for the runes too. So there's a bunch of different stories.
And that's why he has the two ravens that
Hmm.
are his eyes and ears or something like that.
Yeah, thought and memory, Hunan and Munin, or
Hmm.
yeah, Munin, I think.
Yeah, let me put this back up before we leave because not this, damn it. uh, let me find it because this was really revealing to me how it's captured all in one. And you'll remember it was the tattoo I'm looking for.
Yes. Well,
Let's see.
and thank you, Ayava Papas. I really enjoy your work too. I kind of have to go over it again and again. I really appreciate what you do too. Yeah, that's some intense artwork there. And he
Okay,
stabbed himself with a
see
spear.
how you got both of the ravens there
Yep.
and the Odin rune there.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, so many people attribute Othala with Odin because it's the O, it's kind of the O. But Ansus is really the rune that represents him.
Okay, I'm trying to see if there's any more questions for you. Thank you. Iowa Papa says this is a nice presentation. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and Caroline, that's so true.
Where's
You
Carol?
know,
Oh yeah.
yeah, the pagan practices are very different. The intricacies are important to understanding connections is so true because basically, like, if you're a reconstructionist pagan, you're looking to the old texts of what you can glean and try to recreate the religion. But then there are a bunch of people who are very shamanic and intuitive in their practice. So it really does come down to the personal practitioner.
Hmm. She says, "What do the ravens mean? Could you repeat that again? Their names and
Oh
their."
yeah, so Hunan and Munin, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Um, yeah, and it's thought and memory.
Hmm. And he also has a wolf. So let's talk more about the animals of Odin. So he's got his two ravens and his wolf.
Yeah, I forget his wolf's name.
I forget too, but I know the wolf is like the eyes and the ears too. He goes out and
Yeah, what's
there's a whole
Odin's?
thing about the wolves of Odin.
Oh yeah, and wolf pack and okay, so there's Gary and Freki. They're the two wolves.
Oh, there's two wolves.
Yeah, Gary, so Geri, and Freki, Freki.
Oh yeah.
They accompany him. They're, what do they mean? Oh, well, so so Gary can mean either the greedy one or the ravenous one, and Freki can mean covetous or avaricious or greedy. Huh. So they're just a bunch of greedy wolves. It's kind of cute. Yes, yeah, Caroline, you nailed it. Nailed it. That's right. Yep,
Um,
definitely.
Here's a question for you. You maybe or me. Let's see. You might be able to do this on the fly. Criminal Network says when you get a chance, please look up the rune for protection. Brad Holder had a piece of paper that read protection in runes.
Huh. Was that the one you're referencing, the Isa and the Gable? Because on his Facebook page, I
I don't
believe
know what
he,
she's referencing. I don't.
okay. Huh, Wiccan, heathens, Odins, all the same. That's cute. I like that. All those Odins.
Protection. I mean, but isn't protection just any of the bind runes? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see.
It's very subjective. I
Oh,
believe Brad used it because like he was using the ISA, like ISA is ice to slow down um the gifts that were coming to him because he perceived like roadkill and like damage to his vehicle as being like signs or gifts from the gods. And so he was trying to slow down the gifts of the gods.
I
Um
think this person may be referring to algae,
Helgies.
but I don't see that in the runes. In the ones we've looked at,
Yeah.
I didn't
I
see
didn't,
it.
yeah, I didn't really see algae either, but it doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, I know
People
it's
are,
difficult.
I know, and people are like, yes, there's an Othala in there, and I'm like, please email me and show me because I want to see it.
Okay. Oh, this is for you. Have you ever come across Norse pagan-like sacrifices similar to this in any other case? No.
Oh my
Don't know
God,
about
no.
her.
Yeah, so I know that recently there was a guy or several guys in Washington State or Oregon State that like sacrificed a horse, a dog, and two people in the name of Odin, but I don't really believe that to have been a real ritual. And there's so much conflicting information, even within the FBI and other agencies that study like forensic criminology and stuff, that there's no real standardization of what is ritual. But if you look up the work of Dr. Gary Brucato, that's Brucato, he actually does really look into ritual in homicide. And there's a famous case that he goes over, and I think it happened in the 70s. It looks like, you know, satanic, and he does believe that is the case, I think.
Can you type it in the chat if you have a moment, if you're
Oh
able?
yeah, definitely Dr. Gary Mercado. Come on,
Let's see.
phone. Let's see. Come on. Okay.
So Elvis, yeah, they didn't think Elvis was serious because he's a low IQ, but no, but he's a low IQ is why he told his family about it and why he asked the cop,
Yeah.
"Am I going to get in trouble if I spit on the girl? If I spat on one of the girls?" That's the low IQ showing. I mean, but the low IQ could equally have been taking part in something like this. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very well said. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. EOA, very small percentage of Americans have any idea of this cult. God's people know all the cults are different departments of the same store. Boom. Yeah.
The same beast, Satan.
Oh, you said
Yeah.
Gary
Yeah.
Brucato.
Yep.
Gary Brucato. Okay. All right. Oh, and Max says thank you.
Oh yeah.
It is
Thanks,
great to
Mac,
hear.
for
Thank you so
yeah.
much for thank you so much for coming on at a short notice like this.
Oh,
Go
I'm
back
honored.
to a month
Thank
ago
you.
or a week, 2 weeks ago when I wanted to, but I always I'm a last I I'm so busy.
Yeah, yeah.
Last minute.
But thank you. I This was really fun. Have you ever considered 213? I do wonder that. You have so many good insights that I really need to dig into. I'm only familiar with like numerology, so the 213 to me is the number 6, but I yeah, I would love to learn more. The Odin Den. Oh, F tree could have been on the girls. Ooh.
No, Ellie is no, it's not one of the girls' handprints and splatter. No way. No. What I told our friend earlier today is I think possibly they could have used Libby's own hand. So someone could have grabbed her hand and done it like that, but no, there's no way it's splatter at all. If you look at it, I mean, you can clearly see it's not splatter. Um,
Yeah, it looks pretty
It's not
deliberate,
a
but
handprint either. I know that some creators have tried to go there and pretend that it's just a handprint, but there's no, you see distinct straight lines and right angles. That doesn't happen. Um, Precascent says, thank you. Would love to have you on the panel for hours. Yeah, me
oh,
too.
thank you. Yeah, this was super fun. I mean, it's not fun, but it's always awesome to get other people's insights because like I said, I'm gonna be watching this again, like probably over and over just to get these insights that you've put together because they're just, yeah, very well researched.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And like
Yeah.
I said, it's half of it's your work that inspired me and helped me in what some loose ends I was thinking about. But
Well,
thank you
thank you.
so
But
much.
yeah, you did a
Look,
lot
they
of
have more
research
of the
though.
story is don't fuck with the devil. Yeah.
Yeah. Amen. Yes.
Oh my.
Oh, yeah.
This Caroline says, if I wasn't drowning in university, I'd be so deep diving into occult intertextualities in this case.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a deep one. So,
Yeah, it's. I mean, look, my gut instinct tells me when I look at this, there's nothing pure about it. Okay, it's you.
right.
I think it's witchcraft on top
Hmm.
of something else. So let's say it seems to be this odd combination. It's not just a practice. It's not just a sacrifice. It seems to be like multiple. That's I kind of call it like a cosplay. It's almost like cosplay
Yep.
occultism,
Yep.
but with real victims. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And they all stem from the same place. Like if you think about it, like a lot of neo-paganism is based off of Wicca, and Wicca was very much based on, it was taking like very nature-based themes, but then it was also integrating it with some aspects of ceremonial magic, which was, like the Order of the Golden Dawn, and then before that, like the Freemasons, and before that, the Rosicrucians. So everybody is always kind of like building on each other, and they all have the same elements. So
Um, Nancy Drew puts it this way: fanboy. Yeah, that's what it
fanboy,
is.
yeah.
It's fanboy occultism, and it's
Yes.
horrible because you've got dead
Yep.
victims, and they're getting away
Yeah.
with it. They're getting away
Yeah.
with it.
Luciferian is like that.
When the
Yeah.
devil comes to my door, he's going to meet 4 pit bulls before me. Good luck. Yeah, then he'll meet
Oh.
4 rifles.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't put the dogs in danger.
Freckle Joy says hello. Well, hello, sweetie. Coming in
Hi,
late.
Freckle
We're
Joy.
wrapping it up. We are wrapping it up. So
So
everyone
this,
in the
yeah.
chat, please again please profusely thank our guest for
Oh,
spending the time with us. I really love her.
oh,
She's
I love you guys
like
too. Thank you.
sweet, and she's been nothing but just easy to work with. So thank
Oh,
you,
nice.
everyone. Please
Thank
thank
you.
her.
Thank
Let's
you.
see.
It's a huge
I
honor. Thank you.
Golden Dawn. We have a total eclipse is April 8th. April
Uh,
8th is coming right on us. This is why it's very important that we're doing this right now because we got a trial in a month.
Right.
Or
And
two.
just look out for the people who are in that shadow. Just be extra on your toes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I've told
Oh,
my
wow.
viewers in many episodes before, like I don't fuck around with eclipses. I'm highly
Yeah.
reverent and respectful of eclipses because
Good.
they've shown me before that they will kick my ass. If I'm not in the right place at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of karma during eclipses. So I'm always highly reverent these days of eclipses, and I'm aware of what I'm thinking and feeling and doing.
Yeah. No, that's excellent advice. I'm definitely gonna do that.
Okay. Yeah, the prisons need to get the handle on their Odins. Thank you for mentioning that, Four Pits, because I wanted to
Yeah.
mention that before she got off. That what it really comes around to these days, especially in the Midwest, is that's where it's all stemming from,
Yeah.
because the prisons are racially segregated, and all the
Yep.
white boys basically become this type of white supremacist, which is it's not a true Odinist, it's a freak branch of
Mm-hmm.
neo-pagan neo-Norse bullshit.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
hey, they can take it and shove it. You know,
Right.
that's how I feel about it. Like it's coming up
They,
to prison. Look at what's happening.
yeah. I think a lot of people get in with the Aryan Brotherhood just to stay alive, but then, as soon as you renounce it, then you're on their shit list. And so you don't really want to go back to prison, but a lot of people do. Recidivism is very high. Um, yeah. Well, yeah, thank you, French.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
People are saying thank you, and I'm sure they will
Oh,
continue.
thank you guys. Thank you.
But God bless you, and have a
Yeah,
good
bless
night.
you too. Thank you guys. Everybody have a good night and stay safe during the eclipse, please. And thank you.
We hope to talk soon.
Okay, okay.
All right,
Thank
bye
you.
bye.
Bye.
Okay, wow, what a wonderful guest. I'm so just gracious and thankful and happy to have had a guest for this presentation because it was going to be a lot more difficult for me to handle it alone. And I just want to thank her again. She's a sweetie. And all of you, sorry we couldn't keep up with the chat during the presentation. It was just way too much to get through. So I apologize. I know there's probably so much commentary that we missed, but I'm sorry. I just can't spend another hour or two going back on through it. um, I'm tired already, so I'll kind of cut it short tonight. But thank you for whatever commentary was going on. Hopefully it was good and you guys all enjoyed it. And I'll go back and read it later tonight or tomorrow at my leisure. And I'll see what you guys were chopping up. But no, I think we have a lot to talk about. And like I said, I called this show The Delphi Murders, Symbolism at the Crime Scene. And I hope that you got what was advertised because my intention here was to show very clearly the symbolism that I thought could be gathered from the crime scene and the way these girls were left. There's a lot more that can be covered, of course. But in the limited time we had tonight, I wanted to try to do the best I could at conveying a balanced, sober look at the crime scene as it was found, and as you can see, remember Robert Ives saying that it was extremely complex, that uh, there were many non-secular signatures. I think you know what that means now, and that it was a type of stuff that you thought that forensically you would be able to catch these people within a week, and it's just it's mind-boggling. It is actually mind-boggling. We don't have forensics. We haven't caught these people in a week. And what has appeared to come from discovery is that some of these very people who put themselves there, who show all the warning signs and red flags and tells of possibly having knowledge of this crime scene, not having good alibis for the time and place, have partial confessions to various parties confirmed under polygraph, these very individuals are still out here walking around free. As I read earlier in the night, we have Tobe Lesenby and Tony Liggett discussing privately that there's at least two. Okay? So what are we doing here? What are we doing? Because all of these insane commentators and YouTubers, what they will say is, it's just a bunch of voting is bullshit, it's blah, blah, blah. They won't acknowledge any of the facts of the matter. Came from law enforcement. Stephanie Thompson polygraphed the sisters of Elvis Fields. Stephanie Thompson likely murdered. How many others have been likely murdered? Suddenly, all the old POIs go away, and there's a new guy. The two sketches now are suddenly one person when ISP distinctly released not only one, but two press releases stating that these two sketches are two different people and that one was no longer a person of interest and one is. However, now they're the same and they're both Richard Allen. So you make all of this make sense. It's very Tony Liggett who said that it's all Richard Allen after previously telling Tobe Lesenby that it's definitely two or more, also misrepresented on the PCA for Richard Allen. Made outright lies, twisted facts, misrepresented witness statements. A whole lot of trouble. Whole lot of trouble. Greg Ferenczi, assassinated outside of the FBI office where he worked by someone who just happens to be a former corrections officer who's possibly linked to these types. I think that we owe it to these victims to be sober-minded and to look at the difficult things that we are seeing here, as we covered tonight, taking a sober look at it, using novel thinking pathways, establishing connections, understanding. Are what you seeing sticks that just fell off the trees onto these girls randomly? Or are you seeing sticks that were intentionally placed specifically into runic-like configurations? Do you think there's any chance whatsoever that those girls' bodies were posed in the way that they were posed? Do you think that those girls just ended up posed in those positions randomly? Do you think that phone under the shoe, under the body, under the runes, just randomly ended up like that? Because it certainly does appear to me that everything was very specifically done, meticulously done. Who has time for that? After killing two girls, who's going to take the time to do all of that and not leave any forensics behind? No footprint, no hairs, no fibers. How does one guy move a girl that heavy any distance? How much did the tree on her left arm weigh? It's extremely complex. And we won't be quitting. We won't be quitting. I want to thank our two super stickers here before I go, because I almost forgot. We'll see. Cindy, you must have sent that while I was in the middle of the presentation. Thank you so much, Cindy Goddard. That's beautiful support. And I just thank you for your support. That's really nice of you. Rochelle, too. Rochelle D., you did a great job, Prof. Thanks. Rochelle, thank you so much for that support. That's encouraging. And you guys encourage each other as well, okay? And encourage the other creators who you find value in, because we all need a lot of encouragement. It's tough out here in these streets. It's tough. So thanks a lot for the support, and please love each other. Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Think about the Lenten season and what this is about. How can this evidence be used in court? Goal will deny testimony. Ellie has deleted evidence. Anybody denying Rune's existence is pushing a narrative with no regard for truth. Well, that's half your YouTubers. Half your YouTubers will say those sticks just fell on the girls. They don't mean anything. Those girls just fell where they laid. Their body's positioning and posturing don't mean anything. First time joining a live with Prof. Well, thank you, Just James. Right. Every action and movement is intentional. That's what I'm getting at. All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Let's see. Thank you so much, Caroline. That's very nice words. Thank you. Yeah, God bless us one and all. Yeah, and your kids too. Love your kids, love your wife. All right. Mrs. Stone 99 says, "Hey Prof, hey people, catching on the end. Gonna have to catch the first 3/4. Please do. I think this is one worth rewatching. If I were you, I would watch it. Thank you so much. Sticks tell a Rune story and create a lodge. All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here. Good night and God bless you all. Thanks for sticking around for 3 hours. That was a long show. And I felt like we did a great job. Tampering with the body is a crime. Yeah. There's been a whole lot of lies around this case. And you got to wonder, okay, look at what we just covered tonight. Okay. Look at the demographics of Carroll County. And now ask yourself, why all the lies for 7 years? Why the lies for 7 years? Think of what we covered. Think of the demographics of Carroll and the surrounding counties. And ask yourself, why 7 years of lies? When I work palliative, I know dead weight. That's what I'm saying. One guy? Mm-mm. No one in their right minds believes it's one guy. No way. Ain't happening. Not even a guy with a gun. Who's going to stick around that long to do all of that and make it out of there, not get caught? Because remember, he was not muddy and bloody and in the bridge guy clothing as seen by the witness on 300. No, no, no. That was make believe. So, were the girls ever on the bridge? I don't know. But a Snapchat photo that's photoshopped ain't the way to prove it. All right, guys. I love you all. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. I'm tired. It's cold. It's late. I'm going to go hug on the baby and get ready for bed. I'll see you guys later. Good night. Good night, Rochelle. Good night, Marianne, Diamond Eyes, Nancy Drew, Marianne Foster, Miss Stone 99, Just James, Caroline, Northern Star, Four Pits, Lambert Co. Enlighten the Dark, I Have Apophis, Kayla. Thank you for being here, Kayla. Mac, Precascent. Who else was here earlier? K West, Digital, Frenchie 6290 was here. Judy Hathaway was here. Judy, thank you so much for coming. Lambert Co. Criminal Network. Let's see, anyone else I missed? Probably people way earlier, but blessings galore. Everyone who watched and didn't join the chat. Also, one other thing. Would Amy, if you're still here, would you drop the support links in the chat? I just want you guys to know that on the replay, if you're watching the replay, please leave a comment below because we love the comments. We keep up with them. So if you didn't get to join the chat, then just leave a comment in the comment section below on the replay, and that'll be a way we can keep the conversation going further. And hopefully you're able to find around the channel. I have my various support pathways. If you want to support the channel in any way, I appreciate it, including hitting like on the way out and joining the chat and the comment section. So I'll see you guys later. Good night. God bless everyone. Peace on out. We'll catch you later.